Alright guys, ZFR Gaming back here again today, and pretty much this is going to be my video review for episode 615 of The Walking Dead Season 6 East. Alright, now this episode, I've really just, I'm still processing it. The episode literally just ended a couple of minutes ago. I jumped straight on to do my initial review like I'm probably going to be doing from now on. Let me just say, this episode was so freaking awesome to me. It just seemed like it was slow but fast at the same time. It was just it just had amazing pacing, if you ask me. A lot of cool stuff actually went down in this episode. I have some Star Wars Battlefront gameplay going in the background as I talk about this. So, without further ado, let's get into this review. Alright. Well, actually, it's kind of review slash analyze this, but anyway, getting into this, the episode starts off, we see how Carol snuck out and stuff. I actually did miss like the first 2 minutes, so I didn't see like the beginning scenes, but I saw the part where we got to see Carol sneak out and everything. Then you also see Daryl go out after the White. That's obviously who he's looking for. I actually did predict this in one of my other videos. So both of them are gone, and then like as soon as Daryl leaves, you see Glenn, Rosita, and what's her name, Masone, all go out after freaking Daryl. And when Rick finds out all this is going down, he's just like, are you kidding me, people? This is like the worst time you all could possibly do this. Because as we know in the last episode, from the last episode with the White, the Saviors know about Alexandria. They know where they are, and they know where to find them. So now that most of the Alexandrians people are strong people are gone, or at least half of them, Alexandria is pretty vulnerable right now for an attack. So yeah, that's a problem. But yeah, pretty much Rick and Morgan then go out. Like Morgan says he's going and Rick decides to go with him. And let me just say, I was pretty hyped for to see Rick and Morgan go out, because it's the first time we got to see them really kind of work together like that since the very first episode of The Walking Dead, Days Gone By. I mean, so there was all the stuff with them in Clear, but like that was kind of Morgan against Rick in that episode, because you know Morgan was crazy then. But yeah, this is the first time we really get to see them team up again. But anyway, so they head out, and you know, I really, this episode went in such a different direction than I thought it would. I was a little worried that Carol might die, but I really don't think she's dead. I think she's definitely still out there somewhere. Now, a lot of, there's so much I just have to process it, guys. It's so freaking insane. But yeah. So pretty much, we see Carol get attacked by that small group of Saviors on the road. And before I go on, does anyone else think it was ridiculous that those 5 guys, I think it was 5 or 6, those 5 or 6 guys honestly thought they were going to roll up to Alexandria and do something? Like, they would have got destroyed if they had tried that. But anyway, so yeah, freaking, they attack Carol, and she pretty much gets stopped on the road by them. And as you can see, Carol really doesn't want to kill people now. She's really trying to get away from it and everything. And I was really worried about her there. I honestly thought they had captured her, and I was like, holy crap, this could set her up for the Negan death next episode. This definitely could. But then like, freaking Carol, let me just tell you, Carol just remains to be one of the best characters on The Walking Dead. Like, even when she's all confused and just messed up, like, she's still a badass. Like, even then, like, she freaking just sprays them all down with the little machine gun. Um, and they didn't even notice she had it because the sleeves on her jacket were so freaking long. Like, they didn't even notice that she had it with her. And from what I can tell, the little scene where we see her get out of the car with the cross and stuff, the little cross necklace or whatever people are calling, I forget what the other name people have for it. But it's just like a necklace with the cross and Jesus on it and stuff. But pretty much that looks like the same picture or the same scene that we got to see in the promotional images before all this even went down. But anyway, moving on from that, so Carol kills all these guys. And I actually was watching this with my friend, and like he was just like on a point with some of his predictions this episode. To be honest, like for instance, like he said at this point, I'm willing to bet that all of them aren't dead. And he was right. Like, two of these guys were still alive. Well, at least at the moment, Carol noticed that one was still alive. And as she's going towards him to get him to come out from behind the car or whatever, and I have no idea how that dude didn't get shot, because he was the main one who should have got shot. Like, he was out in the open like crazy. But anyway, you see Carol move towards the car to try to get him to come out or whatever, or kill him. And pretty much you see her get distracted because she sees the bodies and stuff, and you could just see that she really doesn't want to kill, because the bodies just shake her up a little bit here, and it causes her to lose focus for a split second, and the guy runs out from behind the car with a knife. And you hear a gunshot, but you don't really get to see what happened there, and you don't really get to see too much of what happened there for the rest of the episode. But I'll get back to that in a second. Just remember that little part, because that's important. But moving on, let's see what happens next. I'm just gonna go straight to Rick and Morgan. They have a little conversation while they're in the car. You know, the usual stuff. Morgan trying to bring Rick back to his old ways of showing mercy and stuff. Rick's really not trying to have it. Like, just basic stuff there. Not too much to talk about there until the end of the episode. But yeah, pretty much another scene that happens is Glenn, Masone, and Rosita kind of looking for Daryl, who is once again going after the white here. And Rosita instantly knows where he's going, and if I'm correct, I believe he went back to the same tracks the Saviors killed Denise on. So yeah, that's where they were there. They're in that same area, and Daryl is out there searching the field that the white and those 5 Saviors ran into. Now, Daryl is a tracker, so it's kind of a smart tactic. He probably could track whatever tracks they left in that field back to wherever they went. It seems like that's what he was doing. But you know, I keep forgetting people's names or whatever. Masone, Rosita, and Glenn, they catch up with him and they try to get him to come back. Glenn and Masone, they try to get him to go back, but he refuses them and he storms off and leaves. But anyway, after that happens, kind of Glenn and Masone, they go back in their own direction, and boom, like as soon as they're far enough away from Daryl and Rosita, and by the way, Rosita, she kind of decides to go with Daryl, because you know, she kind of was affected by Denise's death as well, simply because like she was giving that big speech to her, and she was teaching Denise how to fight For those of you who didn't catch that, in the last episode, she was going to give Denise more lessons when Denise asked her about the whole little pharmacy and all that. So yeah, she kind of did have a slight connection with Denise that we didn't get to see on screen that much. Um, but yeah, so she decides to go off with Daryl to find the White and get revenge also. And like I said, Glenn and Masson, they start to head back towards Alexandria, I guess, and they get captured by the White and those 5 saviors. And we'll get back to that later. And I was not expecting to see the White again this episode. I just wasn't. But anyway, moving back on to Rick and Morgan, they come across the crash site where Carol ran into the Saviors, and pretty much like they they walk over there and oh snap, I'm forgetting something. Scratch that real quick. Forget I went to that part. Before we talk about that, and sorry if I'm all over the place once again, like the same thing as last week. I'm doing this live, so I can't really cut that part out. But yeah, like pretty much what before they get there, another one of the saviors we actually find out is alive. It's kind of an old man savior, which is interesting to see. He gets out of the car and he notices and that's when we get to see what kind of happened between Carol and the last savior that was still alive. Apparently it looks like she shot him but didn't kill him. And it looks like she got away, but there is a blood trail leading off into the I guess those were cornfields or whatever they were, into the fields. Pretty much like that. There's a blood trail, so my guess is that Savior actually did stab or cut Carol in some way or manner, and she managed to shoot him and injure him a lot. So the Earth Savior, he actually finds Carol's little cross and starts to walk off in the Earth direction as well. And this is a pretty interesting scene because now this kind of answers everybody's question about the Negan promo that we got a while ago. Who is that holding Carol's little cross necklace in the promo for next week? And we now know that it's that Savior. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But anyway, back to Rick and Morgan. Rick and Morgan show up at the scene where the Saviors killed everybody, and they notice the guy that Carol saw the very last one she saw. Because the other Savior, the old dude, he just totally left him there. And pretty much Rick tries to interrogate him, but like he's too injured to really talk. So Rick's a savage, man. He just like sticks the knife straight through his head. And they get back to searching. And like I said, Morgan notices that there's a blood trail leading into the fields. Now, one thing that did cross my mind is it's possible this isn't Carol's blood trail. It's possible that it was the Savior's, the old Savior I was talking about, because he did go in that direction. But after Rick and Morgan go that way, you see him come back out from the other direction, from the tree lines, and you see him watching Rick and Morgan go into the fields, and he starts to walk out in the fields himself. I really don't know why he just didn't steal their car. And at this point, I was thinking to myself, oh, this is just like the comics. This guy's going to be the only survivor, and he's going to go back and tell Negan what happened. But no, he follows Rick and Morgan out into the field. So I'm kind of interested to see what's going to happen with him in the next episode, because they don't kill him by the end of this episode. But anyway, getting down to the last few important scenes of the episode. Rick and Morgan, they're pretty much looking for Carol. Oh, wait, so I talk about the Maggie stuff first? the Maggie and Enid stuff. I don't know. I'll talk about Rick and Morgan first. Rick and Morgan, they pretty much continue out to look for Carol. They go through the fields and they come across, it looks like a makeshift barn almost, or it might be a broken down barn. And pretty much they get out there and they see this one dude run out of the barn with a spear and kill a walker, and he runs back in when he sees them, and Rick is like telling him to come out and ask him if he's seen Carol and stuff, and a bunch of walkers show up, and the dude just takes off, and before Rick can shoot him, Morgan kind of knocks Rick's hand a little bit, so he doesn't kill the guy, because you know Morgan's still on the all life is precious train. And then after Rick and Morgan kill the walkers, the guy gets away. And let me just say, I do think that guy may know something about what happened to Carol, because when Rick asked him about Carol, he did not want the answer. I don't know why, but like it just seemed like he didn't want to give him an answer. So maybe he did see her, or maybe he didn't. Maybe he was just some random guy. But I feel like that guy has to have some kind of important role. Like I mean, why else would he be out there in the middle of nowhere with a spear by himself? And what's the point of letting him get away? Maybe Morgan catches up with him, and he even asks Morgan and Rick about his horse, if they've seen his horse before he runs off. And I'm guessing that's probably going to be the horse we see Morgan riding next episode, that we see in the promos and that we see in the promotional images. So yeah, pretty much he runs off and all that. And before they continue on with the search, this is a really cool moment that I just didn't really expect to happen, but at the same time, I'm super glad they did it, and I was super satisfied with this moment. Morgan reveals to Rick what he did with the wolf, with the alpha wolf, after they attacked Alexandria. He pretty much just spills the beans all the way. He tells Rick straight up exactly what happens. He doesn't sugarcoat it at all. And pretty much, I thought Rick was going to be a little pissed. I thought Rick was going to ban us some. But no, Rick kind of accepts it. He's like, okay, you did that. That kind of sucks, but you did it, and I'm not really that mad. I'll let it fly. And mostly, I'm guessing mostly because Morgan explains that the wolf saved Denise and in the end helped Denise get to the infirmary, and if it wasn't for that, Carl would be dead, because you know that's around the same time he got shot in the eye. So if she wasn't in that infirmary, like Carl would probably be dead. So yeah, Rick kinda is like, okay, listen, I'm not going to kick you out. I'm glad you did what you did. You made the right call in that decision. It doesn't seem like he's flipping his views all the way, but at the same time, he's kind of accepting that Morgan's way of life probably isn't impossible. I feel like that's what Rick's accepting in that moment. That's just kind of what's happening there. I think that's pretty awesome. Like, to finally see those two come to terms with each other and just kind of come to a mutual understanding or mutual agreement, whatever you want to call it. That was a pretty cool moment. But getting to the really big cliffhangers for next episode, two very big cliffhangers. Wait, before I go on, Morgan tells Rick to go back to Alexandria and that he'll stay out there and keep searching for Carol, because they need as many people at Alexandria as they can. The Saviors could attack at any moment. So yeah, pretty much Rick goes back to Alexandria. He hangs out with Abraham at the gate for a while. Not even too much on that scene. They just make small talk for a quick second and all that. and he gives Morgan a gun before he leaves. So I think some interesting stuff could possibly happen there. Who knows? But I'll talk about that in the predictions video for next episode. But anyway, God, my nose is all stuffed up right now. That's why I sound weird right now, in case you guys are wondering. But anyway, after all that goes down, two really big cliffhangers happen. First, Maggie. All right, now this is really awesome. You can kind of see Enid has officially taken the role of Sophia from the comic books. And in case you don't know what I'm talking about, Carol's daughter in the comic books at this point is still alive, and she kind of plays the part of Glenn and Maggie's daughter, or adopted daughter, and Maggie is still pregnant in the comics. But pretty much, you see Enid and Maggie have a cool moment earlier in the episode where Enid takes one of Maggie's sifts for it so she can get off her feet for a while and rest. Because she's gotta take extra sifts right now because everybody freaking left Alexandria, and you don't want a lack of guards standing around. You want as many posts as you can get, and a lot of people just left. So anyway, Edith takes the post for her earlier in the episode. Then towards the end of the episode, you see Maggie call Enid up to her office or wherever. At least that's what it looks like. And Maggie's asking Enid to help her with something. And I didn't even see this coming, but I thought it was a really awesome moment. You see Maggie finally get her haircut that she got in the comic books. And pretty much Maggie, it seems like they're taking the same route they did with her in the comic books, and if they do that, Maggie has a lot of cool stuff coming for her character in the near future for the show. She has a lot of cool stuff coming up with her character. But anyway, moving on, freaking right after Enid finishes cutting her hair, like something goes wrong with her baby. She starts to get pains in her stomach, and you can tell by the way they're sewing it. It's not like a normal pain. It's not like when you see pregnant woman in movies, when you see them I forget what they call it, but contracting or something like that. I don't remember what they call it, but sometimes they just get pains before the pregnancy or before they give birth or whatever, because that's just how it works. And she obviously can't be giving birth because she's only 2 months pregnant right now, so that's obviously not what's happening. But yeah, you can kind of tell it's a very severe pain, like a really bad pain, and she kind of falls to the floor, and Enid's trying to help her, and you can see it's just like really killing her, the pain. And that's where that scene cuts off, and that leaves us with a big cliffhanger and a little bit of a sneak peek at one of the predictions I'm going to make in my predictions video. I'm just wondering, is it possible that Maggie could have a miscarriage here? Like, I know some of you are probably thinking, doesn't someone need to be under some kind of physical pain or stress, like in order to have a miscarriage or something like that, or get damaged or injured in some way? Well, if you remember, if we go all the way back to the beginning of the episode, you see her and Glenn in the shower together, and you can see on her back, on her lower back, that she has a few bruises, I believe. So that could be something. I mean, I didn't really catch it, but my buddy, he said he definitely did catch a few bruises. So there could be something going on there. They did just have all of that with the in episode 13, the same boat with Paula and those saviors, where Maggie did get if I'm correct, didn't Maggie like get thrown on the floor or something right there, or thrown up against a wall and almost got her stomach cut? So yeah, it's definitely possible she could be having a miscarriage right now. And the reason I think that's even more possible is because think about it. In the comic book, in the comic books, Maggie does have her baby, alright? She does have her baby. Kind of a spoiler alert here. Yeah, definitely a really big spoiler alert if you have not read the comics. But if you don't care about the comics, don't worry, because, it's whatever. But in the comic books, Maggie does have her baby, but at the same time in the comic books, Judith is already dead. Like Judith died like way back when at the prison, like when the prison was overrun by the governor. That's when Judith died. So now that Judith is still alive in the soul, is it possible they're just not going to bring another baby in the soul and just have Maggie lose her baby instead of Rick losing his? Like, that's definitely something they could do, and that would be pretty freaking awful, to be honest with you. But hopefully they don't. I really would like to see Maggie give birth to her baby, because if she does, I feel like it's going to kind of as if she has a miscarriage right now, it's going to kind of ruin the role that they're setting up for her, the comic book role. But if she doesn't have a miscarriage, if she survives whatever's going on with her and the baby is okay afterwards, this is going to push a very big point for her character in the comic books. This is going to push her character exactly in the right direction if her and her baby survives whatever is going on. So that's why I think her baby's going to be okay. I don't think we have to worry, because it seems like this is setting her character up for the same thing that happens in the comic books. And like I said, in the comic books, her baby doesn't die. But anyway, moving on to the last big thing of this episode. Freaking Daryl and Rosita, they catch back up with the White and his group, and they see that they've captured Glenn and Masone. Like, they have Glenn and Masone captured, all tied up and everything. And you can see Rick and not Rick and Daryl and Rosita get ready to go in. And that's when, boom, the White just pops up right behind Daryl. He's like, "Hi, Daryl." And, oh my god, like, my friend was like, "Oh, they so got them." And I'm gonna be honest with you right here, I did not think Daryl and Rosita were going to get captured, because I'm not going to say anything that will spoil it for anybody, but at this moment in the comic books, something else happens, and it is pretty it's a pretty interesting point in the plot for the story and stuff, with the White and the survivors and a couple of the saviors. But at the same time, I just didn't think it was going to go down like it was. I thought like Daryl and them were going to manage to figure something out. But no, the White right away just pulls the trigger. It looks like he shoots Daryl, alright? Well, I'm pretty sure he shot Daryl, like, but we do hear him say, "You'll be alright." So I think it's safe to say Daryl might not die here, but at the same time, he did just shoot him, and that looked like a point blank headshot to me, guys, to be honest. But at the same time, it could have been just been soda or something. There was a lot of blood at the end there. That begs the question: could Daryl die? Who knows? He definitely just got hurt really bad, one way or another. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff is set up for the season finale. One thing is for certain: if you haven't read the comic books, Negan is showing up next episode. In the season finale, the biggest villain in the Walking Dead history is pretty much here. And we know for a fact a really big, a really important character has to die next episode. One of the good characters. And I at this point, like, there's so many different people it could be right now. I just don't know what to expect. It honestly could go anywhere at this point. The way they set this up, they seriously have everyone in the dark about this. Of course, I do have my theories of what's going to happen. And like I said, make sure you keep an eye out for my predictions video that may come out tomorrow, or possibly even before that. Well, probably not before that. Maybe even Tuesday, if not tomorrow, or sometime this week. Just keep an eye out for it, because we're going to have a lot of predictions to do in that video, because I do have a lot of predictions right now. But anyway, guys, that's all for my review here. If I had to rate this episode, honestly, let's see. I would probably give this episode a solid 9 out of 10, simply because it did have some action in it. It did seem slow at some points, but like I said, it seemed slow in a really good way, though. And it did have a lot of interesting moments, and just a lot of jaw-biting moments, like a lot of cliffhangers for the finale. I think it's the perfect setup episode to just set the stage for Negan to come in. And I'm so ready right now, guys. I'm so ready. I just don't know what to really expect, but at the same time, I have my ideas. But if you guys like this video, please leave likes and comments down below to show your support. I really appreciate it when you do that. And if you are not subscribed to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button before you leave for more Walking Dead content, and even some gaming content and stuff here and there. And I will see you guys on the next one. ZFR out, guys.